You need to be writing, even in your posts, those should be little heartbeat messages that go out and touch and connect with people. And so she is beautiful at doing this. And so I begged her to come in and do it. And I'm super excited to have her here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks
for letting me crash the party.
You can crash my party anytime. Hi, Brittany. We're just waiting for everyone to like click in. I don't want them to miss any of the juiciness, but here's the thing. You know, my clients are all over the globe. So a lot of times it just doesn't fit in their time space, but a lot of them will set their alarm clocks and get up so that they can ask questions. But we do record this and it'll be in the groups so you guys can watch the replay later, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that you're going to want to read. And I'm definitely taking notes because I know how juicy her talks are. I'm going to give everyone
notes too.
I'm going to give everyone 2 more minutes, but your writing honestly is the key to connecting because you're on social media. So other than doing video, everything you're putting out is in a writing content, and it's key how that sounds and creates that feel and vibe around you and your brand. So I think she's really, really amazing at this. And by the way, when I met Rhonda, I literally connected with her in such a powerful way. It's like we knew each other on some other planet or something. And I was really glad to have her as part of my team on help educating you in writing. Hi, Diana. How are you? It's so good.
How are you?
All healthy and feeling better.
Oh, I feel so, it's like a light switch turned off over the last 2 weeks. It's just like, boom, okay, COVID gone, bye.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy. So I'm in the middle of throwing a quick breakfast together as we do this. So I'm going to put you on mute.
Go ahead.
So you don't have to hear it.
Go ahead. Okay, so because I'm on a time crunch today, if people come in, they'll just come in later and they can catch it on the replay, but I want to be respectful of all of your time too. So Rhonda, if you want to get, I'm going to admit Judy. If you just give me 1 second, because I want to welcome Judy because she has not been to one of the regular meetings yet. And so, hi, Judy. Nice to see you.
Hi, how are you?
So I'm just going to do a real quick introduction for the video so that everyone knows that I've asked Rhonda, who is a book writing coach, and she is phenomenal. She brings out the heartbeats of your story. Like she helps bring it out. And those should bleed through everything you're doing. So it's not just about writing books. Blogs are evergreen. They're out in social media world forever, and they're touching constantly and drawing people back to you. So you want it to be on brand, on your personal brand, and you want it to be messages. And I call them heartbeats because they're truly messages from your heart that are reaching out and connecting and drawing people in. So I'm going to just give it the platform to Rhonda and let her start telling you all about the amazing stuff she does and some of her tips on doing that.
Thank you, Jana. Thank you. And again, I mean, that was a great introduction. And like I said, thank you for letting me crash your party. So let me share my screen. Oops, excuse me. Here we go. Let's do a slideshow here. Please bear with me. Okay, thank you so much, Jana. Again, I'm so happy to be here, and thank you everyone for inviting me into your little world. I'm really blessed. So a little bit about me. I have been a professional writer for about 25 years or more. I've worked in the high-tech industry, building communications departments from the ground up for companies like Sony PlayStation, cybersecurity companies, and training and mentoring writers in that space. And I've also served as a ghostwriter for executives in the high-tech industry. Outside of that, I have also been a ghostwriter for longtime authors to get their memoir out in the world, first-time authors to tell their story, and TEDx speakers who brought the audience to their feet. Jana has actually read a book that I was a ghostwriter on. I focus on the nonfiction. That's my space. I like the realism. But I really enjoy my love of writing and helping people get their words out into the world. Your voice is your authority, and it's so important for people to hear you and know you and understand your perspective and where you're coming from. So that's a little bit about me. So as writers, like I said, I have a little note, some notes. I'm not sure if you realize how many people think writing is intimidating. They think it's very scary, from CEOs to longtime authors to speakers. Words scare them. I had a woman tell me a couple weeks ago that words scare her. A lot of things come with writing content, from fighting the head trash to really getting over the angst that comes with writing. And it's a process that you have to continue to work at, to practice, so that you're really becoming an authority and you feel excited and energized. Now, generally, when we think about blogging, we might think of beautiful recipe sites or amazing fashion bloggers, which I love. And I know Jana has talked about Dr. Axe a lot, and it's such a great example, because blogging is so much more than just putting your words on your website. It's about reaching your audience on a different level. So blogging is more about writing content for your business, because you're not just leaving it on your website. And I know Jana has talked about this. You want to expand your reach and get it out there into the world. So really, you're building a relationship with your audience and you're connecting with them on a human level. And that's the perspective that you want to take when you're writing your content. So mindset, and I know Jana and I have talked about this a bit, and I talk about it with my clients a lot, because writing is very emotional. It is overwhelming. I've been overwhelmed by writing, even though I've been a professional writer for 25 years, and you sit there and you think, this is such a solitary journey. I'm in this all by myself. You're sitting in front of a blank screen that's flipping you off, and you really don't know where to start. So when it comes to mindset, you really want to flip the switch. You want to shift your energy. You want to be kind to yourself and realize that you are solution-oriented for your clients. The writing that you're doing is not for you, but for them. So when you think of it as a way of serving your clients and communicating them, it takes the pressure off of you. You're answering questions. You're solving their pains. They're excited to hear from you, and they really want to learn from you. And like I said, the more consistent action you take, the more you'll become comfortable with the process. So really trust yourself and put yourself out there for your audience. And I tell a lot of my clients to just get started with 30 minutes a day. Just dedicate 30 minutes, set your clock, set your timer for 30 minutes, so you're not feeling like you have to sit down and write an entire blog post in one sitting, because then you're just putting too much pressure on yourself. But if you set a timer and you say, this is what I'm going to do for this amount of time, then you can get in your zone. Another great piece of advice I like to give my clients is to have a dedicated space to write. And that will also put you in that mindset of, okay, I'm ready to talk to my audience. This is what I want to say to them today. This is how I want to deliver it. I'm in my space where I can be uninterrupted and I can really concentrate on what I want to write. So it's about dedicating yourself, trusting yourself, and really taking action to write more often. I honestly believe that the best writing happens when you have nothing to lose, when you're in your zone and you feel comfortable and you're writing fearless and bravely. And that's when all of the magic will happen. And I say magic because when you're writing and you're not thinking about the outcome per se, you're going to find such beautiful nuggets come out that you didn't realize you wanted to communicate to your audience. Intentional writing. So that's the beauty of nonfiction and of business writing. Your writing is very purposeful. There's a reason behind it. It's intentional. You're speaking to your readers' pain points in your authentic voice. You have empathy for your readers. You want to put yourself into their shoes so that you can really help them and speak to them, or make them feel like you're speaking to them, which is even better. So one of the things that you might want to do is really sit down and say, okay, what do I want to write about? And Jana has talked about having topic lists, and I keep them myself. And you'll find over time that once you start keeping a topic list, that it'll just happen naturally. You'll hear something, you'll read about something, and you'll say, I want to do that. I want to write about that. Now, what you're going to find too is that someone may have already written about your topic, but that doesn't matter. Your job is to fill the gaps of content that may otherwise be missing from that content. So you want to make sure you're going more in depth. You're using their content as maybe your foundation or inspiration, and you're saying, how can I improve upon this and make it my own? So really think about it that way and deconstruct it, and really think about the heart of what you want to write about. What is it that you want to tell your audience? And you can leverage this information from this piece to expand on for your readers. Another thing that you want to do when you're writing is make sure that you're using credible sources. So if you have a piece that you used as your inspiration, feel free to link to it, to say, you know, so-and-so said this. Google likes to know that you're doing that. Google sees that as an authority in you, and it will help in your ranking. So where to start? Topic list for sure. Always have a topic list. Are you wanting to write FAQs? Do you want to give some tips for your readers? Do you want to answer some questions? Really good places to go and find where your readers are places like Facebook, Quora, Reddit. What questions are they asking that you can answer and you can address? And then from that topic list, find a topic that really speaks to you that week, that month, and then start with your outline. Your outline is going to give you a map to work from. So you're not just going to be staring at that blank screen that's mocking you. Start with a map. So with your outline, even if you're writing 1,200 to 2,000 words, you're going to need an outline. And your outline can always change, know that. But the beauty of it is when you're sitting down with pen and paper, which I recommend to a lot of my clients first, because it'll slow down your thinking and it'll let you concentrate better. Write your outline and then start filling in the gaps with some details. What is it that you really want your reader to know at a very high level, and stick that into your outline. And from there, you can expand upon it. You can move it around if you don't feel like it's in the right place, but it gives you a map to start from. It gives you a sense of direction. Your first draft is always amazing. Ernest Hemingway said it perfectly when he said, your first draft is shit. And I believe it. And that's how you want it to be. But you want your first draft to be something where you sit down, you write freely, you write bravely, you don't edit yourself, you don't censor yourself, you just allow the words to come out. And like I said before, that's where all the nuggets come from. So write your first draft, really sit down and put it all out there. It can be messy, it can be disorganized, and it should be. Then let it sit. Let it sit for a day. Come back to it with fresh eyes and a fresh perspective, and then start putting it in order. Put it in a nice flow that carries your reader through, because what you're doing is you're taking your reader on a journey. You're inviting them into your story and you're saying, hey, come on in, let's engage, and let me tell you how I can solve your pain. So when you're editing, definitely think in that perspective. Am I walking my reader through effectively? Does my story start with a nice beginning, have a nice middle, and then wrap up beautifully? Because they need to know that that you recognize what they're feeling, how you're going to solve that pain in doing that, and then you wrap it up. And you always want to have a call to action at the end that will allow them to either follow you more, to get in touch with you more, something that continues to engage them. Now, don't get me wrong, when it comes to writing, there are mechanics with blogging. There are mechanics that you need to be aware of to help Google know who you are. So 84% of Google is driven by keywords. So you want to make sure that you're using 1 to 2 keywords for each blog post. You don't want to use any more, and you don't want to do what they call keyword stuffing. So let me back up the bus a little bit. So your keyword is going to drive how you're found within Google. And Google wants to be your friend. Google wants to see you. They want to understand what you're writing about, and they want to show your content out to the world. So the more you write, the more you're using the keywords, and the more you're using the mechanics correctly, the more friendly Google will become with you, and they'll want to show your content more frequently, much like Dr. Axe. So keywords are a great way to really kind of define your blog post. So like I said, you have a topic, and maybe you have 1 or 2 keywords that you want to use for that blog post. Google also likes relevancy. It wants to know that the keywords you're using are relevant, but it also understands like words, as synonyms, or what they call long tail keywords with adjectives. So if you say if someone's searching for a t-shirt and you're using that very broad term t-shirt, Google's not going to find you. But if you say plus size green t-shirt in your post and someone types that in, or types in plus size t-shirt, then you'll rank higher because Google understands what you're trying to say. Now, it's not something you have to do on your own by any means. There are a lot of free keyword finders out there that I use. I like Ubersuggest. I like Answer the Public, and Wikipedia is very cool when it comes to finding relevant keywords. With Ubersuggest, you can put in your topic and you can say, I'm looking for keywords in this respect, and it'll show you the top keywords. So it's just a good way to understand what people are looking for, understand how they are searching, and also the questions that they're asking. So when you type into Google, a list of questions or things come up, those are topics that people are constantly looking for. So that's why you want to make sure you're answering those questions in a very in-depth and comprehensive manner. Okay, so where do you use those keywords? Well, you want to make sure you're using your keyword in your headline, your URL, and then sprinkle it throughout your piece. Like I said, don't stuff. So use it very naturally. You can link off of it. Google likes that, but Google wants you to really be natural. And really, when you're writing your piece, mechanics aside, you're having a conversation with your audience. New and old, you're still having a conversation with them. So Google wants to recognize that that's what you're doing, and it will be confused if you're trying to stuff too many keywords in there, and then it won't even show your blog post to anyone. So you want to make sure you're not getting hung up on the mechanics, which it's easy to do. Just write, and then go back and refine the mechanics at the end. I always say to look for a keyword first and put it with your topic list, but it's not necessary. Sometimes I look for my keywords afterward, or they organically appear because I've already written my blog post. So try it different ways and see what works for you, but don't, like I said, stuff. Another great idea to do is to create what's called a blog cluster. And in this will give you an advantage with the mechanics and with that of an authority in your industry, is that a blog cluster concentrates on one topic. So you have one main topic in the middle. And then from there, you can create subtopics, sub-posts, sub-articles that all link back to the main article as well as all of the other ones. So you're just creating more reach. you're enhancing your authority about a particular subject, and you're really letting people into your world so that they know who you are, what you're all about, and you're really educating them more. So format and links. There are a lot of, authority links, excuse me. Google wants to know that you are an authority. So when I say use an authority link, it's always good to reference somebody. I like to reference Neil Patel. I think he's very knowledgeable. I love to reference Dr. Axe when appropriate. So different people will provide different authority levels for your blog post. And really that's what you're trying to do is gain authority by Google and by your audience. Headlines are very important. It's been said that 80% of people only look at your headline. And if your headline isn't engaging or enticing enough, if you will, that they'll just continue to scroll. So there are a couple of practices that you can do. One, definitely use a headline generator. Co-scheduler is one of my favorites, as well as the Hoth. And they can help you score your headline to see whether it reaches people on an emotional level, whether it piques their curiosity, if it's a question. Numbers are always great in headlines as well. 3 tips, 5 tips. And you'll always want to put it at the beginning of your headline versus at the end, so it draws the attention in. Another practice I like to try, and I have done very often, is to write multiple headlines for my piece. Don't just write one, write 10. Write them down, pen and paper. See which one resonates with you the most. You can put it in your headline generator if you feel like it, or you can say, you know, I really like this one. I know some companies who actually require 25 headlines for each piece. So just try it. Maybe try 5, maybe try 10, and see how you feel about writing your headlines and how comfortable you feel with that practice. Publishing your piece and repurposing it is one of the best things about creating content. Your content, like Janice said, is always evergreen. So you can pull from something you've written a year ago and you can freshen it up, you can give it a new perspective, or you can take chunks of it and use it as a Facebook post. You can turn it into a YouTube video. You could turn it into a voiceover, which I've done before. I've read some of my posts and put music behind them. That's just a different way to engage people. And now video is becoming a lot more engaging than blog posts. So you might want to start creating videos and putting them in your blog post, or even just creating videos as a blog post, so a vlog, if you will. But you're always going to want to think of ways to repurpose your content. It can be a LinkedIn post. Instagram, you can take little nuggets from it as an Instagram post. There are so many ways that you can repurpose your content, and it's not just a one and done thing. That's why writing for your business is so important. Not only are you educating your reader, connecting with them on a different level, really bringing them into your world, you can constantly use that content to engage new people, to engage people on a different level. Maybe sometimes blogging doesn't resonate with someone, but your video will. So it's just finding different ways to educate and connect with your audience, because really in the end, you're building relationships, you're having a conversation, and you're getting to the heart of what is really bothering your clients. Wow. Content calendar. So you want to make sure you always have a content calendar. Writing demands that. The beauty of it, there's so much beauty in writing. The beauty of it is you can put topics down, you can put ideas down, but you always want to have a calendar that's 3 to 6 months out. And again, there are beautiful tools you can use, Asana, Trello. I like to use my own calendar because I really like the calendar format. It just serves me better. So whatever serves you, but always have a calendar ready to go with your content. Then you're not struggling week after week, like, oh God, what am I going to write today? And really, if you're writing long form articles, you only want to produce 2 to 3 a month. You don't want to inundate your clients. So 2 to 3 a month of really long form articles will give you a lot to pull from during the month for other posts that will keep them engaged and keep them educated. That being said, I do have an amazing course, an amazing workshop that is starting on August 20th. It's a 3-week live online course where we're going to talk about purposeful content and mindset. The first draft will really go in depth to the Google mechanics so that you understand what Google is looking for and that you're really writing for the audience intent, meaning the questions that they're asking, the problems they're trying to solve. We'll talk about publishing, we'll talk about repurposing, but we'll really get you on track to writing your blog within the first week. We'll have a Facebook group, a private Facebook group where we can collaborate and share. And then each week I'll pop in and we can do a Q&A so I can see where you're struggling and help you through that and give you support on your drafts, on your topic ideas, and just on your journey overall. Plus, it'll give us a place to really collaborate with one another and really support one another. In the end, you will be writing blog posts weekly. You will feel comfortable, you will feel excited to write, and you're really going to want to talk to your audience. Because in the end, that's what you're doing, you're talking to your audience. And I find when I speak from my heart, it just comes out naturally and beautifully, and I really feel excited about it. And so that's how I want you to feel about writing as well. And in the end, you will. We'll talk about publishing, sharing, repurposing. We'll put your content calendar together, and we'll really have you on a successful journey for writing for your business. So my class is normally $7.95, but right now, for you guys especially, I've dropped the price to $6.95, and so just use that code Let's Write, and you'll get the discount. So again, it starts August 20th, and it runs for 3 weeks, and it's live. So it'll allow us to collaborate, do Q&As, and really get to the heart that drives your content. So again, thank you very much. I had a great time, and I appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you, Jana.
Thank you. I'm going to have question and answers, but before I do, I am taking this course because I write blogs. Let me tell you the difference in what she was saying when you apply all those tools. So Dr. D writes blogs on Best Holistic Life blogging, but I have some really great other bloggers that their content is amazing. But because Dr. D takes the time to do all those and implement them into her blog, when I post her on Pinterest, she gets 5,000 hits on a blog, compared to the exact same amazing content that miss those steps from other bloggers who'll get 100 or 200. And so putting those all together really draws people to your blog and brings it up in search engines. And I mean, we've been testing this out for over a year, and it's super accurate. And those links that you gave were really great. I have people in the group, and I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to point fingers
That's
at
all right.
them, but they can't get past their writer's block. And I know they're beautiful writers because I've seen it when they've given me their stories. But the minute I ask for a blog or something that's going out into the world, they freeze.
Sure.
And honestly, that's one of my questions for you. And the other question is, why is it so hard for us to share about ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
If I were to write a bio, by the way, the tools she's giving you are exactly what you need for bios, for intros, for all these amazing things that you're putting out so that they keep coming up in the search engine and people keep finding you. But when I have to write about myself, my brain goes dead. Like I literally do what I tell you not to do. I start listing all my certifications and where I've been seen and nothing personal. But when you ask me about you, I'm like, oh, of course. And I can just let it flow out, all the things I see about you. So those are my two things. Why do we block about ourselves, and how do we get that personal heartbeat out into the world? And I know everybody else probably has questions too, and I love the links you gave us, Rhonda.
Oh, good. So you're right. I always say that I'm a writer who can't tell my own story. And it's true. We're all afraid of vulnerability. Really, I just wrote a blog post about this too. They say that when you're writing about yourself and you're putting yourself out into the world, you're opening your kimono. You're saying, here I am, warts and all, good, bad, or indifferent. And that's a very scary place to be. We're so afraid of criticism. We don't want someone to tell us we're doing a crappy job or we don't know what we're doing. And the imposter syndrome comes in. We have to get beyond that, and we have to remember it's not about us. It's about educating our audience. Even when we're talking about us, they need to get to know us. And now with COVID especially, we can't have face-to-face where it's a different perspective. You have the body language, you have the unspoken emotions. You really have to let people in. So you just have to really try to open your kimono and say, this is what I want people to know about me. For me, it's kind of hard sometimes to tell people I was on the floor crying during grad school because I thought my thesis was crap. So we have to allow ourselves to honor the privilege of opening ourselves up to the world. If someone's going to criticize us, they're not our audience. That's not who we want in our space. We want to attract those people who need us. And so they're going to be attracted to our vulnerability, to our authenticity, and to our transparency. So we really have to think of it in those, I think, in that perspective, not, oh my God, it's about me. I need to give all my credentials and just tell people about me on a very high level, because people want to know who we are as a person. The blocks are really hard, again, because we get scared. Like I said, writing is very emotional. It's emotional because, again, we don't think we have the authority to write, when really, if we think about all of the time we're talking to our clients, we're helping them through their struggles, we can write all of that down. Talking about our day in the life, talking about a client's journey is something else that will help us get into that frame of mind of the blocks and will help us through those blocks. So if I want to write about you, Janet, and our journey, that would be easier for me than sitting down saying, oh my gosh, what do I want to write about for my clients? Blocks, though, are very natural. So I have a few tips. That's why I always say to start with just 30 minutes a day to help prevent those blocks. But I'm a big walker. So if I have a block or if I'm feeling frustrated, I'll go walk around the block. They say walking really helps create a sense of creativity in you. It really starts getting the juices going. Plus, you're not thinking about your writing. You're not struggling with it. Another thing, if you're struggling with a certain piece, like for instance, when I was working with an author, he kept struggling on this one chapter, and I said, move to another chapter. So even in that respect, you can move to a different blog. You don't have to write one blog at a time. You can write part of a blog here, part of a blog there, get them going. That's always something to do too, because then you don't feel like you're starting from scratch all of the time. So don't see the blocks as something that's kind of a stoppage. Think of it as, okay, I need to take a break. Get up, do something else. Don't think about it. Do something else. Then come back to it with fresh eyes and a fresh perspective.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Diana does.
I do. When you were saying headliner, I missed
Oh yeah.
what those what the sites were or whatever.
Yeah, the headlines. So
Yes.
the Hoth, HOTH, they have a headline generator, and co-scheduler. And another point, I'm so glad you brought this up, is you always want to make sure your headlines are less than 10 words.
Okay.
Ask a question. Say, 3 tips for a blog, or updated for 2020. A date is always a good,
okay.
it will engage as well.
Okay.
You know, I have another question. How long should a blog be? Because I see 500 word blogs and they don't get as much traction on my site anyways than a 12 or 1500 word blog. But I don't know how long they're really supposed to be a substantial blog.
So substantial, that's a great question. A substantial blog is between 1,200 and 2,200 words. That's why I say you only need to write 2 to 3. Those are considered long form articles a month. And that will help your ranking in Google, because Google will see you as an authority. Google likes long form articles, blog posts. And then, you know, throughout the month, you can pull from those, but always between 1,200 and 2,200 words. And that, I know, seems like a lot, but when you're breaking it up with graphics and you're changing your formatting to make it very aesthetically pleasing, your reader won't know that there's a lot. So that's something I want to touch on real quickly, is the format of your blog. You want to make sure that you're really inviting them in with your words, but you're also inviting them in with your format. Use a lot of graphics that are relevant to your piece, and don't overstuff everything with a lot of words. And I know Jana had talked about using short paragraphs because readers want to scan, but at the same time, they don't want to be overwhelmed by your work. So if someone opens your piece and it's like this long journal article, they're going to go away. They're going to say, nope. And there's this marketing guru, Donald Miller, who talks about how people don't want to expend calories reading your content. And so if it's going to take too many calories, they're not going to read it. And it's true. I think it's very true. And if you don't overwhelm your readers, so invite them in, use different graphics. And depending on whether you're using WordPress, there are a lot of different templates that help you lay out your content better so that it's very pretty, or it's very comfortable with a lot of white space that won't overwhelm your reader.
Does anyone else have any questions? Judy?
Oh, I'm curious, you talked about plugins for WordPress for blogs. Do you have any suggestions for those?
I use Elementor. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. That's a paid plugin. I'm not sure of any other ones. That's the one I use. Another great tool for your blog is to make sure that it's keyword optimized, SEO optimized, is Yoast. Sounds like toast, but it's Yoast. And it will really help you to optimize your blog post. It'll tell you readability. It'll tell you whether you have passive voice or active voice, and it will help to maximize your reach.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One of the great things I do with my blogs too is I use that for content for my social media. And here's the great thing. When I see that content was really got a spike, I create another blog off of that exact content. So I expand on it. So it's constantly feeding me back content of what my followers or clients are hungry to hear. So I use it all the time in quotes and in post on Instagram or LinkedIn. And then when I see there was a spike in that post that day, then I know, oh, they really like this. I can expand on that and create a whole blog around it and link it back to the original blog.
And that's the beauty that's, I'm so happy you said that, Janet, because that also comes into where people are commenting on your post, or they are commenting on something that you put up there. And you can use those questions or their comments, and then you can create what we call like the blog cluster, where you have one central topic you're talking about, and then you're creating all of these different blog posts off of that topic, and they're all going back to you. They're all linking back to you somehow. Yes, fantastic.
That's what I talk about, creating that spider web. And the reason this is so important, and I'm so grateful for Rhonda coming in, is if you really want to be seen as that influencer, that go-to person, blogs are absolutely necessary. I'm telling you, you cannot do it without some kind of digital content educating your clients and drawing them into your beautiful little circle. And so blogs, you have, and you know who I'm talking to right now. You have to write blogs. I know it's scary. I know it's uncomfortable, but honestly, if you can get 1 or 2 a month the first year, you can repurpose those next year. And then if you can't write 1 a year or 1 a month, there's probably a problem.
Yeah.
But you have to. I honestly, I use Dr. Axe all the time. And it's not because I read his blogs all the time, but every time I'm putting in for a natural solution for something, he pops up. That man blogs about his breakfast. I know what he ate for breakfast. And that is what pushed him to the top of the SEOs and everything. When I type in, he's who pops up. And so he's a perfect example of drawing your tribe to you through education.
But he's also drawing his tribe through authenticity.
Correct.
He's bringing them in and saying, this is what I had for breakfast. And I love when people do that. And I love that people feel free and brave to do that. And so when we do that, we create this new tribe that we didn't even know was out there. And like I said, those people who criticize and those people who hate, not who we want in our space. And I've experienced it too. I've experienced it face to face, just not who I want in my space. We move on. They don't affect us. So that's why Dr. Axe has gotten up there, because he does let us into his world. We know, like you said, what he's had for breakfast beyond just writing tips on how to solve problems or find wellness. He's bringing us in.
So now I have one more question for you. And this one you may not be able to answer because it's kind of a new thing.
Okay.
But video content is huge. And I know they have vloggers, and I don't really get into the vlogging, but is there a way to get even more attraction to our blogs if we start including video content in the blog?
There are, yes. And from what I've read, it does increase engagement. Now, I know that there are plugins that you can use for your blogs. I haven't researched them right now because I make video outside of my blogs. I'll just do a 30-second video about something I've written about, because I find different ways to repurpose my content, like I said. So if I've written something, I just want to make a 30-second video about it. But yes, I do know that there are ways to implement video inside your blog. There's also ways to implement narration inside your blog. So there are multiple ways to engage your readers and kind of find what they like most.
So I love that London is a huge blogger, and she's one of my favorite bloggers. And she just put in the text that she gets much higher time on her page when she includes video in her blogging. And it doesn't have to be a 30-minute thing, right?
No.
You want it to be really short. And here, I just started this new hashtag, and I'm going to be blogging on it and going live about it. But it's called hashtag Hello, I am, because I think there's this huge disconnect in us making that personal contact with people. We have social media and we're worried about how it looks, or how are we feeding it, but they don't know who's behind it. So I'm doing this hashtag Hello, I am, and introduce yourself. Who are you? And I think those quick little videos, hi, I'm the author of this page, a mindset coach, and this is my passion. And then they start going into it, really starts connecting them to the author of your blog. And they want to know, oh, I like her. She's safe, right? She's not scary. I can follow her tribe. So I think that that would be a really great thing to do. And when you guys see my hashtag Hello, I am, I want you to hashtag Hello, I am, and introduce yourselves. Because I think that we've disconnected online on an emotional level. And as far as like, there's no one to shake their hand or to see who you are. And I want you to start introducing yourselves a lot.
That's one of the things I love about video, is it allows people to hear our voice, which is so different than someone just reading our content. They get to know us on a different level. And it, like I said, it can only be a 30-second video, but they hear your voice. They get more of an emotional connection to you, and they understand where you're coming from. And I think it's very effective. I like to post my videos on LinkedIn, and I have such great engagement because of it from people I've never met before. And just because I'm giving them little tips that help them on their writing journey.
Perfect. Does anyone have a last question?
I actually do. Sorry.
That's okay. We got time.
That always happens.
London, you want to go ahead? Okay, Lisa.
I'll go. So I think I might have heard something wrong. At first I heard we're supposed to do it 2 to 3 times a month, and then I heard weekly. Which one is better?
So you're going to want to write constantly. You want to
Okay.
write constantly, but you only need to publish 2 to 3 times a month, your long form articles. And from those long form articles, you can pull content to repurpose weekly or however often you want to post, maybe on Facebook or on LinkedIn, other sites where you're reaching an audience. So use those long form articles that you post 2 to 3 times a month.
I got you. And I am a newbie. Where do you find the most success in where to post the blog?
So that's the beauty of it. There are so many great places. So you always want it on your website. Always, always.
Okay.
Lovely places are Medium, Refinery 29. Those are just different places where your audience may be, but you want to find where your audience reads. Where are they hanging out? Where do they get their information? And you can do some of that research through Quora or through the Reddits or the Facebook even. That's another great place where you can post it to take them back to your website. It's wherever your audience is hanging out, but also where you think you'll find a new audience.
One quick thing
Thank
on
you.
that, Lisa. Most really great blogging sites will not let you post content that's posted somewhere else. So that's a great way to repurpose your post. So just when you're doing your title searches, it'll give you multiple titles. Just change out the title for your article, change out some photos, and just a little teeny bit maybe on the lead in, and you have a new article. It's new, it's fresh. And by the way, it gives you an idea too what people are attracted to. Like it's the exact same post, and yet one place is drawing all this attraction. Why? And it gives you to see what your tribe is, who's coming to you and what they're attracted to. But yeah, when you start putting it on multiple places, that's why when we write one, we repurpose it into 4 and we start submitting it onto other sites. So it looks like 4 fresh blogs, but it's really just the one.
Thanks.
London?
Yeah, I just had one thing that spoke. First of all, this is so great, so amazing. I feel like I know I'm on mute, but I'm amening back here. Okay, so I've been blogging for a really long time. I started my first blog in 2006. And so I just put this out there because I know that sometimes, you go through phases, and this is a longevity process. Doing business online is longevity. It's consistency. It's showing up day in, day out for all the shit, right? So what I realized is that I went through phases, especially in the beginning, where I loved to write. I would call it Stevie Wonder mode, and I would just sit and I would just write. But throughout the years, sometimes I'm just like, I'm not into, to writing. So I used to always start with written word, but now I start with video or audio recordings of my voice, and then I listen to it later and I type it later. So if I'm on a walk and I'm inspired, or I'm listening to a podcast or an audio book, I'm very much a talker. So like, I don't mind putting my headphones in and pressing record and just talking it out. I also, when I'm in a place where I know that the person feels safe and I'm having a good quality conversation, I'll ask them if I can please record it. I just will put it down and put it on the couch. We'll hash it out. We'll talk later on. I'll listen to it and I'll write a blog post about it. So I just wanted to put that out there because, when we get into this blogging game, we get into this online space, like, I know I'm in it forever. I'm in it for the long run. And I know that there's going to be times when I don't feel like writing and the words aren't coming out and I'm just like, what the heck? So I just invite you guys, or just want to put that out there, to explore other mediums and other areas that could be that starting point, and then writing a blog from there. Especially, you said you want to be writing consistently. Well, maybe I have it in me to write 1 or 2 a week, but I have a lot in me on my walks that I just want to get out and kind of audio journal and then write about it later. So that's the only thing I wanted to put out there, because I know it feels like you're hitting your head up against a wall, or like hitting that ceiling over and over. So I sometimes feel like, if I pivot and I shift a different direction, it can kind of help creatively. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Those are great points, London. And from that, you can just use those audios and post those. So again, people hear your voice, you're reaching them differently. People like the audio. So you can use those as your post, or as your blog post, or even in your blog post, you could put those and just invite them into your conversation that you're having. I think that's great.
So everyone, I want you to meet London, because she will be our speaker when we do the going live about how you look live, because London has been in front of the camera for years, and now she's taking a space and wanting to be more behind the camera and showing you how that works and how that flows and how to look your best and show up your best. But she's also such a great blogger that she's the one that gives me the tip that I share with all of you. And she just wrote about it in the little comment section. She's the one that taught me what to listen, to really listen to what's being said in my comments when I post something and turn that back out, because it's one person saying it, other people are thinking it. And so she just took from something I wrote when I commented on hers. She commented this beautiful thing like she always does, but I noticed there was like a cinnamon in there. And I said like, oh, cap. And so she's like, oh my gosh, I'm using that. And so you hear things, you hear what they're hungry for, you pick up tips from them when they're reaching out to you, and they're a whole new topic. And it's what they're asking for because they asked. And so she's one of the people that taught me that's really important to be listening, because I'm always trying to come up with ideas on what they're hungry for. And you do pivot, you'll find yourself in different platforms. But as soon as I hear people saying things to me, I know if one person says it, other people are thinking it. So there's a great way to write another topic for a blog, or a great post that you can put out that shares that information and see how that goes. And she is an expert at that. She does a very good job at it. Okay, does anyone have any last questions? So blogging key, it's super key to what you're doing. If you are not blogging, you will not stand out as that global influencer in your little niche. It's because it's education, it's evergreen. You have to blog forever. If you really hate it, honestly, once you get a year's content, you can just recycle it. One of the things I do is a lot of seasonal writing, because it's seasonal appropriate. And like if you're doing back to school articles, or you're doing, you know, I don't know, the fall changes or holidays, it's super easy to repurpose that and put a fresh look on it and put it back out into the world. So if you don't want to do it forever, you don't have to. But those of you who are having a hard time struggling getting me blogs, and I'm just telling you, you don't have to. This is your business. You can run it the way you want. But if you really want to step out and really explode and draw people and traffic to you, the right people and the right traffic, you have to be blogging. And if you have blocks, and that's what it is, because I'm right there with you. You all know my book story. I could not get a whole book out. So I got a good chapter and then found some people who had other good chapters and did it. But I am now, Rhonda's my book coach, and I am now writing a book. Not only am I writing a book, she already has an idea for the second book.
we already have her titles down.
So yeah, definitely you might want to take this blogging course. I'm definitely going to take it because I can always be better. I know that things change quickly on social media, on the internet. Things are changing, like adding video. I think I really want to learn how to teach all of you to start adding a little video content, even if it's a little introduction that goes out on all your videos. So every time you're personally touching and connecting with the people that are reading or going into your video or your blog. So thank you, Rhonda. You are amazing. I'm so grateful to you for coming in and talking to the team and letting them know your tips. I will be posting this. So anyone that wants to grab more of the slides, or you forgot something that you need, it will be posted in the group later today.
Let me give everyone my website once again.
And there's Rhonda's website.
And then the code is, there's the code.
Hey, Rhonda, you have to stand up and show your shirt.
Oh, my shirt. My Let's Write shirt.
So amazing. He made these for her.
My little Let's Write shirts. Yes, I do. My husband's in promotions.
So thank you guys for coming and coming all together to hear our speaker. Again, London will be coming when we do the live, and we have other speakers that come in and talk about social media, websites, blah, blah, blah. And so I like to try to do it at least once a month, so that you're, like, I only know so much, right? But I know some incredible experts who know way more than I do that can come in and help and give you tips. So see you guys next Wednesday, except for VIPs. I'll see you on your scheduled time.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Rhonda.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.